Citizens of Palm Springs, my name is Tricia and it's my pleasure to serve as your city clerk. The City of Palm Springs has an annual recruitment process for volunteers to serve on our many boards and commissions. For the most part, all you need to be able to serve is a willingness, be a resident, and a registered voter of this city. This year, you can apply by email. Log on to the city's website and go to the icon for boards and commission applications. Just complete the form and submit it. Your application will come directly to the office of the city clerk. We will call you if we have any questions. The commission terms start July 1st of this year and typically run for a period of 3 years. A full listing of the openings will be displayed at the end of this broadcast. Your service and commitment to the City of Palm Springs is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Welcome. We'll go with a roll call by Madam Clerk.
Ms. Hodges?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Oden?
Here.
Ms. Rose Spurgeon?
Here.
Mr. Kleindienst?
Here. If you'll all please rise, the Boy Scouts will bring on the flag and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Color guard, prepare to advance. Advance. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard, prepare to post colors. Post colors. Color guard, salute. 2. Color guard, regroup. Color guard, dismiss.
Applause for Color Guard. Thank you. Please be seated. Tonight our invocation is by Reverend Keith Newsom from Palm Springs Community Church. Good evening and welcome.
Oh, Will. Here. Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, I thank you that your presence is everywhere and that your eyes roam to and fro over the earth, looking for those who are willing to do your will, that you can strengthen them. So I pray first of all for the blessing upon these servants here in our city, for them and their families, because of the position of servants that they've taken for the community. And for tonight specifically, we pray three things. We pray for listening ears to hear the needs of our community. We pray for minds filled with your wisdom to allow us to make decisions which are intelligent and will be a blessing. And we pray for hearts which have integrity, who are willing to do whatever is right, no matter what the cost. I thank you that you hear these prayers because they are according to your word and to your will. I thank you, Heavenly Father. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Newsom. We have a number of presentations tonight. The first one before us is the Palm Springs Shrine Club. We have some gentlemen in the office. If you can figure out which ones they are, it may be a little difficult. Gentlemen, if we could have you just come forward here and stand in unison, we'd like to see these guys. If you don't know who the Shrine Club is and what they do, perhaps this proclamation will indicate what it is these wonderful individuals do across this nation. This is a proclamation of the city of Palm Springs, California. And whereas severe burn injuries are a leading cause of death and injury in North America, especially among young children. And whereas every year more than 2 million people suffer burn injuries of some kind, and more than 1 of every 3 burn victims, again, are children. And whereas 75% of all burn injuries and deaths are preventable. And the Shrine Club of North America operates 4 Shriner hospitals that provide medical care totally free of charge to severely burned children. And whereas the Shrine of North America and the Shriners hospitals join with other burn facilities across the nation in recognizing the seriousness of this hazard and the urgent need to educate the public about burn prevention and fire safety. And whereas it is fitting and appropriate to acknowledge the great contributions of the Shrine of North America and commend the Shriners themselves for their continued support and care for young burn victims. Now, therefore, I, William G. Kleindienst, Mayor of the City of Palm Springs, by the power vested in me, do hereby proclaim the week of February 2nd through the 8th of the year 2003 to be Burn Awareness Week. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief note I would like to pass on. The Shriners Hospital's burn centers have become so involved in taking care of burns for children that they have now become teaching hospitals. Our doctors teach the procedures to hospitals and doctors all over the world. They have developed a means where they can take a child's skin and stretch it like a balloon so that it heals that way, not leaving any scars. And the procedure looks gruesome, but it's not painful to the child, and when it's all done, a child has a normal face. This is all done by the Shriners doctors at the Shriners hospitals. And again, as you say, it's no charge.
Let me ask you just 2 questions. How many hospitals in America are Shriner hospitals?
There are 20 hospitals in the United States, 1 in Canada and 1 in Mexico. Total of 22 hospitals dedicated to children.
And how much money do you raise annually?
I couldn't even start to quote a figure of what we raise annually, but I will say that the Shriners Hospital system spends $1.75 million each and every day for children.
Amazing. Amazing. And just one final question. You've got 22 hospitals.
Yes.
How many of those hospitals have a billing center, an office to send the bill?
There is no billing department in any Shriners hospital.
And why is that?
There is
no charge.
There is no charge. There is no
The
charge
Shriners.
whatsoever. Thank you, Mayor.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Shriners are the most amazing people in America.
Thank you.
$1.75 million a day for children. Gentlemen, thank you for coming down. It's always a pleasure to see you, your hats, and the organization you represent. It truly is. Additionally, tonight we have a presentation for our police chief. I'll ask Police Chief Gary Jenner to come forward. We have to swear in some new officers. Chief, what have you got planned for us tonight?
Well, I'd like to present to you our new police officers, Kyle Stern, Brent Kuhn, and our newly promoted commander, Ron Stars.
Chief, if I may just say this, if there's any family members with cameras, I want you to come down here and feel free to move about to get proper images to save this ceremony. Don't feel as though you got to hide back there in the seats. Come on out here. This only happens once in these gentlemen's lifetime, so capture it. Come on down. Chief. Take our seat. Come back here if you want. Come on, we don't care. It's their day, not ours. Excellent.
The officer, I'll have him turn around here in a minute. The officer in the middle is Kyle Stern. He was hired as a police trainee and recently graduated from the police academy. He was 8th out of 87. He did very well in the academy. He's a Southern Californian from Irvine, and he graduated from San Diego State University, and he's relocating to the Palm Springs area. For all you ladies out there, he is single. Brent Kuhn comes to us 7 years with Yolo County Sheriff's Department. He was a sergeant with that department. Brent is married and he has 2 daughters. His wife Erica, out in the audience, 5-year-old daughter Brittany, 1.5-year-old Kylie, and Brent's dad Loy and his mom Beverly, and the father-in-law is here as well, Randy. Introduce them to you right there. And we have Ron Stars. He's our newest commander. He started his law enforcement career with us in 1979. He rose through the ranks. He was 16 years as a sergeant, and we recently promoted him on January 5th. Ron Stars, our new commander. Okay, now for the swearing in. If I could have the new officers raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of the State of California. I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Thank you very much. Congratulations, officers. Mr. Mayor, as you know, we go over across the street and have a brief informal reception, and you have city business and you're not allowed to attend. You have to go on with your city business, but someday you're going to be welcome to attend. But thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'll now turn to the city clerk, please, for a report on the posting of the agenda. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the agenda you had before you was posted in accordance with procedures, with council procedures last Friday, January 31st. The council tonight was given additional materials regarding item 13, and they should be on your desk in front of you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
In addition, there was a supplemental agenda posted last Friday regarding the appointment of an SMGLMI subcommittee. That will be for 2.
Very good. Council have all that? Good, thank you. We'll turn to our city attorney, Mr. David Alshire, for a closed session report. Mr. Alshire?
Yes, we didn't get far in our closed session night. We discussed real property negotiations with the Plaza Theater, with Riff Markowitz. We gave a status report, no action was taken. We also discussed the Vista Sunrise project. Salazar gave a status report, no action was taken. We didn't discuss Star Canyon or the Gabay. On the downtown parking structure, we discussed real property negotiations with Talala, Rick Service, and Lee Marcus on the Chop House. Gave staff report on those. No action was taken, and we did not discuss any of the litigation matters.
Thank you, sir. The Housing Authority, the Finance Authority, the Industrial Development Authority have no business scheduled tonight. We do have business as the Community Redevelopment Agency, and we will adjourn as the City Council and convene as the CRA. First order of business before the agency is the approval of the minutes of the January 2nd, 2003 meeting. Members of the agency, your pleasure.
So moved. Second.
Motion for approval by Ms. Hodges and second by Ms. Reller Spurgeon. Any corrections, amendments, or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0 deemed unanimous. There are no public hearings tonight. We'll turn now to public comments. Anyone wishing to address the CRA? I believe I have one comment card requesting the opportunity to speak before the CRA, and I believe that's Mr. Willie Holland. Mr. Holland, if you'll come forward at this time. I believe your issue is item A, the merge project area, sir. Is that correct? Very good. Thank you, sir. Public comments are 3 minutes in length. There's a timer in front of Dana and one in front of me. It counts down from 3. If you'll give your name to the city clerk, pull the microphone in, sir. Your comments are welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Willie Holland from Push Apostolic Ministries. This is my family, and that's who I'm concerned about. That's who I'm speaking for tonight. And I've taught them a lot of things. And as I begin to speak, I want the council to realize that all I'm trying to do is help, and I'm trying to help my family. And we have some important issues before us tonight. One is I've stuck to my theme, reconstruction, not destruction, integration, not segregation, peace, not war, unity, not division, savings, not waste, right, not wrong, good, not evil. Okay, now, there's, eminent domain has been a situation that has been going on over the city of Palm Springs. And what I'm saying tonight is that it's not good for the neighborhood, because if you don't integrate the streets at Gateway and Mountain Gate, that new community, well, then it's segregation. And I want my kids, from my grandkids to on down, to be able to go to, and if you pull, I want them to be able to go into a mixed neighborhood. As you see in the Desert Highland Gateway, it's predominantly Hispanic and black. Okay, I want my neighborhood to be more than Hispanic and black. And the only way that you're going to accomplish this is to integrate those two neighborhoods together. It's going to add value to our property, and it's going to add value to morale for us, self-worth, because we are human beings. Okay, the next thing is eminent domain power has never stopped. I don't know why you're trying to reinstate it, because it's never stopped. It was supposed to stop in 1996. There's still an eminent domain, meaning the power to condemn. They still condemning buildings as we speak. Okay, not only are they condemning buildings in the Desert Highland Gateway area, they condemning buildings downtown. Last time I was in here, there were 3 buildings that was condemned. That building was one building that I own. That was a building that another person owned, and we proposing to make a unit, not a unity center, but we proposing to make a senior citizen center out of that. Okay, and the Biltmore Hotel was one. I felt sorry for that guy because of the fact that the city's not putting any money into redevelopment.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the Community Redevelopment Agency at this time? Very good. Seeing no one, we'll close the public comments for the CRA. We'll turn to our legislative calendar. First item on the agenda is item A, the merge project areas for areas 1 and 2. Mr. Reddy, we'll turn to you for your staff's report, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mills?
I have to abstain due to property in the merge zone, and so I'm abstaining.
Thank you, sir. The record show Mr. Mills will be abstaining.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Alshire?
I just might make a comment that there are new FPPC rules that are requiring that when you have a conflict, you have to leave the room. So I talked to Chris before this. I noted your curiosity that he got up and walked out. And I just wanted to explain that we have a new piece of legislation that is requiring a little different procedure than has been applicable in the past.
Is that just for Mr. Mills or for all of us?
Not only all of you, it's the entire
All
state of
elected.
California.
At the state level?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Alshire. I appreciate the clarification. We'll turn to again Mr. Reddy for his staff's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. For the merged areas 1 and 2 for the eminent domain, these are the rules of, these are actually the rules governing eminent domain that we're updating, and these are rules of participation and re-entry preferences. And again, these rules favor the landowner to make sure that all due process is given to them before any eminent domain is actually occurred. And I would ask John Raymond, our Director of Community Development, to give the report on this matter before you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Good evening, Mr. Raymond.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This action is not the plan amendments. That comes under your City Council agenda, item number 12. As Mr. Reddy stated, these are the rules governing owner participation. California redevelopment law requires that the agency have rules for owner participation. We have 10 different sets of rules. We had 10 different project areas that were created all at different times. We're using the opportunity now with the merger and the plan amendments to conform all the rules so that they're uniform across all the different project areas. So it's required prior to the adoption of the plan amendment that the agency adopt new rules for owner participation. So that's why these are on your agenda tonight. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Members of the agency, questions on staff's report? Comments? If none, what's your desired action on the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Rella Spurgeon. Any further comments or questions? Mr. Oden.
Yes. In the staff report, under background, it talks about, although such rules currently exist and are legally sufficient, there are several procedural inconsistencies. Would you just give an example of what those procedural inconsistencies are?
JR?
JR, I guess.
The law, you want me to find an example in the?
Yes, or you can just give me one, sorry.
I could.
Maybe I can. The owner participation rule. The purpose of the owner participation rules. The redevelopment law puts a high premium on the idea of relocating businesses within the project area instead of moving them outside of the project area. The purpose of having owner participation rules is so that owners who own property within the redevelopment project area have an ability of continuing their business within the project area instead of being forced outside of the project area. The owner participation rules in the last set of rules that we had are more than a decade old, and there have been some changes in the law since the last time that we dealt with amendments in our redevelopment plan, so that the old set of rules were out of date. If you look at the rules, there are a whole set of things in terms of establishing preference amongst owners. Let's say we had 2 owners and we were having to try and establish what the preference between the owners would be. There's some state law requirements in terms of how we establish that priority. There's also a number of things in terms of if a property owner will build something that is more in conformance with the redevelopment plan, then the one who's more in conformance gets priority than the one that's in less performance or less conformance with the project area. So in essence, what we've done here is try and combine a number of these areas where there have been changes to update. Are you waving at me?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to abstain. My second is no good.
Oh.
Is that due to a proximity of residence? Thank you.
Well, I've got a motion by Ms. Hodges. I need a second, then I have to strike Mr. Ellis-Bergen. Mr. Odom,
I will
think
second that.
You're there by default, sir. We now have a motion on the floor. Continue your discussion, please, sir.
So anyway, the overall purpose of these rules is to actually do the sort of thing that Mr. Holland was speaking about. It's the idea is to try and allow people to continue in business, to continue in operation within the project area. And so the law wants us to be sure that we have these rules in place before we go amending and changing our redevelopment procedures.
Okay, because there were a lot of statements that were made that don't really fit into this discussion, but if you would explain the difference between eminent domain and when we address an issue that becomes a public nuisance.
Yes.
When we go through the. Okay.
Thank you, because, for example, the example was given about the Biltmore Hotel, and the statement was being made that eminent domain and it's misused and all these things. Well, the city and the redevelopment agency have the power to utilize eminent domain in a number of contexts. If we were widening a street, we could use eminent domain to acquire the property. If we were building a park or a skate park, we could use eminent domain to acquire the property. The example concerning nuisance abatement on the Biltmore, that is actually not using the power of eminent domain. That's kind of a mislabel. What happens is, if we have a piece of property that's not being properly maintained, we can demand that the owner maintain the property. If the owner fails to do that, we have the ability of going to court and getting a court order and correcting the nuisance problem. And the correction of the nuisance may even be demolishing the improvements if they're a health and safety hazard. When we do that, we do not acquire ownership of the property. We are merely trying to compel the property owner to do something. And in conclusion, it may appear to somebody that we were using eminent domain, because it could be, if you have structures that are unsafe, that the structures could be demolished. But that whole nuisance abatement, we're trying to make the private property owner conform instead of using eminent domain. And that's something the city does. It really has nothing to do with the redevelopment agency. And I think we talked last time, and there is a misunderstanding. And again, this particular agenda item is just talking about rules to allow property owners to go into business and operate within the project area. The misstatement on eminent domain, the eminent domain power of the redevelopment agency does not, as being proposed in a later agenda item, does not, we are not proposing to be able to use it with respect to residential property.
Would you say that? Repeat that, please.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Hodges.
I'm looking at this project number one. Could somebody clarify whether I'm in that project? I was never aware I was in redevelopment project area. But I'm looking at this map and I'm saying, maybe across the street from me, I am. I don't know. This is getting more confusing as we go on. I apologize.
You don't live in a project area.
I never thought I did, but according to this map, it looks like I might.
This seems to be creeping disqualification.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No,
But she's not in the project area.
is that where it says citywide project area number 9?
Yes, but there's a dotted line there. It looks like it's going right across the street from my house.
Doug's got the map up. The part that on the map where it's citywide project area number 9 is the part that sticks out to the east, and it goes all the way over to Sunrise. And that was project area 9B. I think your physical distance is
Yeah, I'm okay.
adequate.
Okay, I'm okay.
Okay. Anybody else want to check the map?
Oh, yeah. Just making sure. I thought you were okay, too. Yeah, tough on this scale.
We're good to go. Sorry about that.
As we were.
You're right. At this point, Councilman Oden, I have no idea whether I answered your question or not.
And I forgot what my next question was.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay,
I know,
what
that's
was gonna
right.
ask you. Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Oden.
when you said that the city, were you referring to the city of Palm Springs, or is this a law for all cities that they can address these issues in this way?
In terms of the owner participation rules, that is a statewide requirement.
Okay. Now, well, I'm going to hold there because I don't want to complicate
The other.
this issue with some others that are clearly very separate issues. Okay.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is that this is really not dealing with eminent domain at all. All it's dealing with is the state policy that people who own property within a project area have the first chance of developing pursuant to the redevelopment plan instead of outside developers. And we're adopting rules consistent with state law to do that.
Okay, other questions or comments? Again, there's a motion on the floor by Ms. Hodges and a second by Mr. Oden. Any further questions? I'll ask for a roll call.
Ms. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Mills? Absent. Mr. Oden?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds Spurgeon? Absent. Mr. Mayor?
Aye. Passes 3-0-2. Point of clarification to the clerk, you note the two members as absent, not as abstaining? That's the new rule. Okay. All right. Do we bring them back in for the Berryman?
Yes.
Mr. Evans, if you'll bring in the council. I'm going to try to clarify this. As Mr. Alshire indicated, there are new rules that came out of the state from the FPPC, the Fair Political Practice Commission, and now because of conflicts, members must actually leave the chamber. And this is the first night we're experiencing that, so we're a little bit kind of rough trying to get through this. So I think we're all back now, though.
Mr. Mayor, there's actually, we're preparing a memo that I think we should have to you within the next 2 weeks, because as you can see, under these new rules, you may get some issues of quorums, whether you've got a quorum or you lose your quorum, and so we're putting together a research memo that addresses some of those issues, so I think the next time this comes up, you'll have a little more background.
And again, both members noted their abstentions due to conflicts, leave the chamber, but under the vote, they're shown as absent. So you're never going to record an abstention in your voting in the future.
No, I'll be sure, the rules say that the person having the abstention needs to state specifically why. You do not have to give your home address, but that was the reason I asked if it was the proximity of your residence. That's reflected in the minutes showing the reason for that abstention.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now turn to item B, the Berryman-Heiniger Canyon Infrastructure Fee Study, and I'll turn again to Mr. Reddy for his staff's report, please.
Mr. Mayor, I need to abstain on this issue due to proximity of my home. Maybe I should just go home and you can call me when.
The record show that Ms. Reynolds Spurgeon is leaving the chamber due to her abstention. Other members are all right? Mr. Reddy.
Thank you, members of council. This is a fee study for mitigation, actually for infrastructure on flood control and infrastructure mitigation in the South Palm Canyon area. This study actually is $45,000. As you know, there's a lot of potential home construction in that area, and this will serve us over the long haul in terms of mitigating that infrastructure. Mr. Raymond can give you a more detailed report if you require. We strongly recommend this fee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the resolution.
Motion by
I'll
Ms.
second it.
Hodges and second by Mr. Oden. Members of the agency, questions or comments? I've just got a couple of observations. The documents seem to use the term city as opposed to what I think should be agency in some of the contractual components. I'll cite, for example, Exhibit C, dealing with page CRAB 18. Again, contractor shall submit to the city Reference to the city's directors, city shall pay. Should that not just be agency? Should be agency. Even the recommendation on the front page indicates council. And again, if I can just ask that the maker and the second of the motion allow for that sort of sanitizing of the document so that we make sure we're not obligating the city by a CRA action.
Yes.
Clarify that.
That's no problem. And perhaps we need to take a closer look at this because you've made that observation on a couple of occasions
Just to make sure.
when we're
And
dealing with agency issues.
I want to make sure that, again, this is the agency taking action, not the council. And again, I'll turn to Mr. Alshire, maybe, and maybe Mr. Raymond, on page CRAB 11, paragraph 7.7, liquidated damages. Again, it states liability for and shall be paid to the agency, which I think is correct, but it has no dollar amounts assessed. And then it refers back to Exhibit D, which has no mention in D as to liquid damages. Are there no liquid damages?
No, we have this in here as a boilerplate for the staff to check on, but the majority of contracts, they do not fill that blank in, and there are no liquid damages as part of the contract. And so, since this is not filled in, that is the same intent here.
Okay, and again, the reference made to cities, again, there should be no city in there. If there is reference to city, I'd like to see it somehow in the recitals, so that it's noted accordingly. Other than that, I have no problem with the maker and the second. Any further comments or questions? Again, a motion by Ms. Hodges and second by Mr. Oden. I'll turn to City Clerk for a roll call, please.
Ms. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Mills?
Aye.
Mr. Oden?
Aye.
Ms. Relish Berchin absent. Mr. Chairman?
Aye, so it's 401. Is that what the clerk shows? Thank you. We now adjourn as the Community Redevelopment Agency and reconvene as City Council. First order of business before the
Mr. Mayor,
council.
could we get Ms. Relish Berchin, please?
By all means, Mr. Evans, if I could impose upon you, sort of bring Councilwoman Relish Spurgeon back in. First order of business before the council is indeed public comments. I have a number of cards before me here. I'd like to call these individuals forward and allow them to speak, and then anyone else who wishes to speak can come forward, of course. First speaker is it Bob Bales?
Pretty close.
Is it my eyes or your handwriting? I'll meet you halfway.
My handwriting,
All right, good enough, sir. And then followed by Mr. Rick Service, and then Tom Flanagan. And you'll have 3 minutes, sir. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you. My name is Bob Baltus. I am a resident of Palm Springs. I live at 888 Chia Road. I'm here this evening in capacity as president of Shelter from the Storm, along with 3 fellow board members. The purpose of our comments this evening are to request to be included in the Palm Springs Community Development Block Grant Program. We have a significant building project that we are involved in, and we're requesting the city's support. By way of background, Shelter from the Storm our agency provides shelter for victims of domestic violence, counseling services, training programs, transitional housing, as well as operating a accredited school program. Shelter from the Storm operates out of 10 distinct locations in the valley, including Palm Springs. Some statistics from last year: we served approximately 37,000 meals, provided 15,000 nights of shelter for women and children of the desert, including 620 approximately Palm Springs residents. Interesting to note, 2 of 3 of which are children. Again, your consideration for our inclusion in the Community Development Block Program is appreciated, and as always, we appreciate your continuing and past support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rick Service, please. Followed again by Tom Flanagan. Good evening, Mr. Service.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Rick Service. I am the president of Las Casuelas Terraza in downtown Palm Springs, located at 222 South Palm Canyon Drive. And I'm here to support Bob and the board for the Shelter of the Storm. Our company has been helping the shelter since it started back in the mid-'80s. This is really a grassroots effort. It's been a tremendous program here in the Valley, so much so that it's become to the attention of shelters all over the country, and people send their executive directors and their boards out to study how this community has been able to develop this wonderful program. It's a tremendously needed program, but it's made up of a lot of unsung heroes, people who volunteer, people who contribute to do something about domestic violence in our society. I'm here to urge your support to include in your block grant program application support for the construction project that's going on now at the shelter. As you know, the location of the shelter is secret, and I'm sure that our president, Bob, can work with your staff to discuss how this application program can move forward and still maintain the confidentiality of that location. And it's obvious why that has to be done. I'm here today supporting my wife Patty, who's on the board. Sandy Westman and Mary Heckman are both here from the board, and they work tirelessly to help provide the support and the guidance for the shelter. And I thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Service. Mr. Tom Flanagan, please. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Tom Flanagan. My wife Gladys and I live at 3863 Cayce, San Antonio. We are here this evening to request approval of variance number 6.465 as presented to you on January the 15th. It is item number 11 on your legislative agenda tonight. As you can see by the report on this item, since we were here last, the staff has discovered a way to modify the existing structures so that it can meet the building code requirements. This is the best news we've heard in months. Of course, we are very willing to do the necessary work, and in view of that report, we respectfully request approval of that variance. I wish to thank you and your staff for their patient consideration through all this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Please come forward. Welcome. If you give your name to the city clerk for the record.
This is Mr. Holland. I was very emotional last time because, it gets personal. But I do have something before the city council, and we send savings versus waste. Have a building that was going to be demolished, and we have proposed to make that a senior citizen 6-bed facility in our neighborhood. I think it would turn the neighborhood around. I made a bid on reconstructing it, not destroying it, but I put it in on the bid of demolishing the building, and I was going to take the $35,000 that was supposed to demolish it with and use it toward rebuilding it. I think it would put a positive image in our neighborhood and create some jobs there. Also, it takes about $50,000 worth of redevelopment money to get to that point to where they can tear down something. And the point about eminent domain or condemnation, okay, when you pull people's meter and when they have to reestablish occupancy, and I'm sure that probably happened, if it didn't happen at the Biltmore Hotel, I need to know that. Because if you have to reestablish occupancy, the building has been condemned, plus the person has to go through court, which I've been through court, which is not only costing the city a lot of money, but it's costing the person a lot of money. So a lot of people are walking away from their property because of the fact that in order to even say 3 words, the most I've ever said was the 5 minutes that you gave me the last time I talked in here. I've been to court, haven't said anything. Expenses about $10,000, and you say you're not condemning. Well, if I have to reestablish occupancy, that's it. Okay? Now, I'm telling my kids this. You tell them the same thing I tell them, and it's not a city problem. I mean, it's not a neighborhood problem. The drug problem do not belong to Desert Highland Gateway. Drugs are all over. When I send my kids to school, I say, watch out for the drugs. Now, gangs is not confined to Desert Highland Gateway. Gangs are all over. They're territorial. When I send my kid to school, when I send him to college, I have to tell them the same thing. Stay away from the drugs. Stay away from the gang. Crime is not locational. You can't say it's Desert Highland. You got to say crime is all over. Now, I'm very emotional with what I'm saying because I know it's true.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council during public comments? Please come forward at this time. Very good. Seeing no one, we'll close the public comments. We'll turn to our consent agenda. Members of the council, there are 7 items, 1 through 7. If there are any issues you'd like to pull for separate votes, discussion, or to note your abstentions, please do so at this time. And I'll ask for clarification on the abstentions. If a member abstains on a warrant,
On the consent agenda, the memo that I sent you when we first started talking about this, you can stay for that consent agenda. Routine business such as a consent agenda, you don't have to exit the room. If you pulled an item for discussion, that would be a different matter, but for your warrants, no.
very good. Thank you for that clarification. Council, it's your pleasure, please.
I move the consent agenda.
I need to do an abstention.
I'll second it.
A motion by Mr. Mr. Oden and a second by Ms. Hodges, and we'll now turn for the abstentions.
Now can I abstain?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I need to abstain on number 4 for business purposes in that within the past year, I've been involved with this subcontractor, kinda. Got that? And I need to, or this contractor, actually. And on 7, I need to abstain on warrant 984092. That particular warrant is a client of mine.
Mr. Mayor, I need to abstain on a warrant, please. 984081, husband-related.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? Perhaps for the convenience of all the members with all the news, the rules on abstentions, we'll allow the abstentions to come forward first, note them, and then we'll go to motion, just so we avoid that sort of confusion. All right, we have a motion on the floor, Mr. Oden, and second by Ms. Hodges. And you have noted the abstentions. I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Ms. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Mills?
Aye.
Mr. Oden?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds Bergen?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Aye, it is 5-0. It's deemed unanimous. There is no extended consent agenda. Before we open up the public hearings, I've had a request for a quick recess under personal privilege.
Citizens of Palm Springs, my name is Tricia, and it's my pleasure to serve as your city clerk. The City of Palm Springs has an annual recruitment process for volunteers to serve on our many boards and commissions. For the most part, all you need to be able to serve is a willingness, be a resident, and a registered voter of this city. This year, you can apply by email. Log on to the city's website and go to the icon for boards and commission applications. Just complete the form and submit it. Your application will come directly to the office of the city clerk. We will call you if we have any questions. The commission terms start July 1st of this year and typically run for a period of 3 years. A full listing of the openings will be displayed at the end of this broadcast. Your service and commitment to the City of Palm Springs is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Greetings from the James O. Jesse Desert Highland Unity Center. I'm David Reddy, your city manager, and I'm here with Mr. James Rugeley, the director of the center. And James is going to give us some details on the parade, Black History Parade event this year. James?
The parade starts at Bristow and Palm Canyon, headed north to Alejo. Anyone along the routes between Alejo and Bristow will be able to see it.
And the date is Saturday?
The date is Saturday, February the 22nd. It starts at 10 a.m. until about 11:30.
10 to 11:30. That's Saturday, the 22nd. And then after the parade, there's a fair at the park?
There's a town fair at Ruth Hardy Park, which we expecting close to 4,000 to 5,000 people there.
Great. What's going to happen at the park?
They will have foods of all sorts, barbecues, arts and crafts, and entertainment all day long on the stage.
And who's the parade marshal this year?
Grand Marshal this year is Darius Wilson. He's
sure.
known from the Parkers.
Great. Great. And again, that's Saturday, the 22nd?
Saturday the 22nd, started promptly at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. And then I hope you join us at Ruth Hardy Park afterwards for the fair. We hope to see you on the 22nd. Thanks, James.
Okay.
See you then.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll call the meeting back to order. We'll turn back to our agenda. We're under public hearings. Item 8 is a tentative track map, 30925 Mural Estate Partners. And I'll turn to Mr. Reddy for his staff's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of councils. I would ask the Director of Planning and Zoning to give you the instructions on this request in public hearing. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is a piece of property that we've had a long history with for many, many years. This is the former site of the Bel Air Apartments. And what we brought today are a couple of photographs of the day in November 9th, 1999, when the city abated this property. This was one of the worst properties in town insofar as a public nuisance. The city worked with the property owner for probably close to 2 years to try to get the property owner to repair the property. The property owner was non-compliant, refused, and we went through the court system, and the courts authorized the abatement of the property, and on that day the bulldozer took the property down. The property's been vacant since. We haven't had any complaints about vagrancy on the vacant lot since the property was knocked down. And today we have a 14-unit condominium complex. The council action tonight is very simple. Your action is to consider a one-lot subdivision for condominium purposes. The architectural approval application and site plan is by right of zone development. It's approved by the Planning Commission, and the approval is final with the Planning Commission. It's a 2-story project, 24 feet in height. We've got 4 3-bedroom units and 10 2-bedroom units. Has a very wide courtyard between with a turnaround, private courtyards on the street side, pool area, and then some patio elements up on the second floor that face inward so that people will have roof decks to add to their open space and recreation amenities. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the tract map. I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Very good. This is a public hearing. Are there any questions by council of staff's report? Good. Seeing no questions. Again, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council during this hearing, please come forward at this time. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and turn to council for further questions, comments, or action. Council, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Oden.
This is a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier on the concern of properties that have become dilapidated or an attractive nuisance within a community. This is a property where, because of its condition and because we repeatedly attempted to get the property owner to fix the property up and they refused, it became a site where all manner of criminal activity took place there. And after a 2-year period and attempts to get them to comply, because it created so many problems for the entire neighborhood, that we eventually received the permission from the courts to tear the property down. The goal was to clean that property up so that the community could move forward. And as we can see today, based upon what's being presented, that's exactly what has happened. So the goal is to clean the city up and to improve the city. So with that, and with an appreciation from the staff who worked in council, who worked tirelessly over the years to bring about this improvement, I will move the resolution as recommended.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Oden and second by Ms. Reller Spurgeon. Additional comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mills.
Only to comment that unfortunately, we don't get to vote on the architecture, because I would love to vote on this architecture. It's an excellent piece of work, and it will change the character of that streetscape.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I can recall, as many of you can, not too long ago, how troubled this neighborhood was with so many abandoned properties. And as Mr. Oden clearly noted, all the activities that we had problems with and the health issues. And through a very concerted effort, from legal to building to planning to housing, working with our safety units, public safety and fire and police, we moved forward, cleared the lot. It remained vacant for a number of years, but it welcomed this kind of development. And this brings new life to that neighborhood. And that was the goal of the council, so I'm very pleased to see it happening. Again, we have a motion by Mr. Oden, a second by Ms. Reller Spurgeon. Any further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, it's deemed unanimous. Let's turn now to item 9, which is also a public hearing. This is case 5.0937. It is a conditional use permit for the Palm Springs Tennis Club. Mr. Reddy, your staff report, please.
Again, I would ask the Director of Planning and Zoning to give the directions and the information on this public hearing. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is a property that is city-owned, leased land, and we put the colored exhibit up where I'll have to use a pointer if I could find it. The leased land has 2 users on it. Currently, we have the tennis facility that's existing being operated by one operator. The Hagstroms have the lease of that facility. In the overall site plan, they have the lease of this area for their tennis operation with joint use of the parking area. The Palm Springs Tennis Club has a lease on this portion of the property with access to the parking that comes down into this area, and they're proposing to construct 7 new tennis courts and a very small tennis facility for building, check-in, and other types of facilities. The proposed tennis courts will all be lighted. All the lighting will comply with our ordinance relative to heights and wattage and things of that nature. They don't comply with all of the setback provisions, and that's one of the reasons why this is a conditional use permit that requires the Planning Commission as well as the City Council review and approval. There's 2 existing paper streets, which means they're on our general plan, but they have not been improved, and the setbacks adjacent to Hermosa Place are exactly as the existing tennis center and almost the same orientation. And then there's another roadway, which would be the extension of Arenas Road, that is actually on your calendar for your next meeting to delete that portion of Arenas Road from the general plan in conformance with the Section 14 master plan and a traffic study that we did looking at circulation in the neighborhood. So in essence, you've got a setback of roughly 40-plus feet to the tennis courts in these areas. If the street were not to go through, the setback is 50 feet and 45 feet in that area. Well, we don't anticipate those streets going through, so you'll have a real good setback to the property to the north when and if it develops. Planning Commission held a public hearing on this. My recollection is nobody spoke in opposition. We haven't received any correspondence, and the Planning Commission did recommend approval. That completes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Members of the council, any questions on staff's report before we open the public hearing?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mills.
Mr. Evans, both those streets that you recall, or you mentioned as paper streets, how do they appear on the Section 14 master plan?
On the Section 14 master plan, Hermosa Place would go through up to Tockwitz, down to Baristo, and on Arenas, there would be, in the Section 14 master plan, no extension of Arenas Road to the east to Sunrise.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions before we open the public hearing? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on item number 9, please come forward at this time. Very good. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Showing no one gave testimony, we'll turn to the council for further questions, comments, or action. Council?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the resolution.
I'll second it.
Motion for approval by Ms. Hodges and second by Mr. Oden. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0, again, deemed unanimous. Let's now turn to council comments, announcements, or interagency reports. Council? What have you got for us?
Announcements. Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Oden.
This past Thursday and Friday, I attended a CalNEVA meeting, which is California-Nevada Association of Community Action Commissions, and the directors and chairmen of the commissions of various counties throughout the state of California and Nevada were there. And we talked about our plan to eliminate poverty in California as our mandate. We had quite a few speakers from the State Assembly and State Senate who came to speak to us, and we also gave a plaque to Senator Batten for the work that he did in assisting with our Energy Task Force. One of the speakers, as a matter of fact, who came to speak to us, who was working specifically on the elimination of poverty in California, was Richard Alarcon, who is the senator for the San Fernando Valley area. And when he sat down, I looked at this guy, I said, I know you from somewhere. And after he finished speaking, I found out that I went to school with both he and his sister, so we had a lot to talk about the good old days. On Saturday, I attended the memorial service for Morris Kite. I also attended a CAPE board meeting, which is California Alliance for Pride and Equality, and while there, I attended the memorial service for Morris. Morris was, I guess, the pioneer for gay rights in the state of California. And truly, he was an exceptional man. Governor Gray Davis spoke, James Hahn from Mayor of Los Angeles, and probably 15 or 20 assembly persons or state assembly persons spoke. I had an opportunity not only to meet Morris on several occasions, but here, just before he passed away, he came to Palm Springs and we dedicated a tree to him near the wall there that was done by the students from the high school, along with the Human Rights Commission. The taxi drivers, or Coachella Valley Taxi Owners Association, which is a new organization, recently had a press conference and discussed the formulation of a new union, or a nonprofit, I should say, to discuss their issues. Now, a few years ago, when we referred this to Sunline, we had several expectations. We talked about uniformity among the taxi cab drivers, and we talked about the state of their vehicles and upkeep, et cetera. And we have not had a report back. So I would like to request that we would have an audit of some sort on their disciplinary procedures, the fees, whether or not the training that we had requested has been done. Well, those are a few of the things, and I think perhaps we should include them in one of our study sessions to at least make some sort of presentation to us before we request any specific information from Sunline. And I received some information. On the weekend of March 7th and 8th and 9th, 2003, Palm Springs will be the cabaret capital of the world. 36 of the top cabaret stars from all over the country will be here for the first ever Palm Springs Cabaret Convention. That list includes two who are Palm Springs residents, Mara Getz and Perry Wood, who are very, very good. They will be performing at the Annenberg at the Desert Museum with shows on Friday and Saturday nights and a Sunday matinee. 14 performers on opening night, 10 others on Saturday evening, and 12 more at the Sunday matinee. This means that 36 won't be performing anywhere else in the country other than at Palm Springs at that time. The convention is presented by Mabel Mercer Foundation, headed by Donald Smith, and it's based out of New York. It has presented cabaret conventions in New York since 1989. San Francisco was added in 1996, and Chicago in 2002. Now, for the first time ever in Palm Springs this March. So I would like to recommend that we would do a proclamation and to welcome them to our city.
Other council comments, announcements, or interagency reports? Just a couple of brief ones here. Saturday morning, early, Jeannie and I spent some time together. Jeannie, where were we, Jeannie?
We were at the Palm Springs tour of Palm Springs.
Tour de Palm
Tour de
Springs.
Palm Springs.
We had a couple
Early
of
in
bike riders in town. How many did they say they had?
5,000.
5,000 people. And many of them are here, obviously, the night before, because they had the pasta dinner, the carb dinner, and we were there to welcome them and kick off they weren't racing, they were riding. It was not a race for insurance reasons. And it was very successful, very, very busy. But at the same time we were there, we all got the tragic announcement of the tragedy of our space shuttle and the loss of 7 astronauts in their service to this country. And although we knew it, we did not announce it to the cyclists. We wanted them to enjoy the day, and they'd find out soon enough. But a challenge for, obviously, this country once again to deal with tragedy. In that same vein today, there was a service at the Palm Springs Air Museum. I represented the council and the city as one of the presenters. Very well attended. To my surprise, probably over 150 people were there. Wonderful presentations. There were some flyovers done by the vintage aircraft, many of which came from Riverside. But it was a nice memorial. It was nice to see that we did something here in Palm Springs. Hats off to the Palm Springs Air Museum. On Sunday, there was the formal service of kicking off the Black History Month festivities. Again, representing the council, I was at the Desert Highland, read proclamation and joined in the song and the festivity and the food. Again, very well attended. The entire auditorium was, the gymnasium was filled with people. Many in native costume and garb. It was colorful. It was exciting. It was fabulous. It was really fabulous. A lot of young people and a number of performances done by young people, which was quite moving. We have scheduled this week on I believe it's Saturday in the Millionaire. The Steve Chase Awards, the annual dinner, is being hosted, and that is the largest fundraiser scheduled. And then I believe Mr. Oden's pointing to Friday night. There is a Calling All Hearts kickoff party. It's a charity event whereby bartenders and barbacks and waiters and busboys donate half of their tips for a period of 1 week for the purposes of benefiting the AIDS Assistance Program, AAP, to allow, obviously, children that are dealing with HIV and AIDS to go to camp. Okay, Camp Laurel. Thank you. And that's kicking off, so if you get a chance to get out this past week, look for the buttons that Mr. Oden has on his lapel. That indicates people are committed towards that goal. Next week, we are closed at City Hall on Wednesday. It is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. We are observing that. City Hall will be closed, but some of us will be working. That is scheduled for the annual State of the City address. The growth in this event has gotten so large that they can no longer house it in their normal breakfast facility. It has been moved to a luncheon, 11:30 to 1:30 at the Palm Springs Convention Center, and it again is hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. So if you have an interest in seeing that live, obviously live, you go through the Chamber of Commerce to acquire tickets, and I'm told they anticipate somewhere around 300 to 400 people this year. It will not be broadcast live because of the complexities of the technology. We will be taping it, and we will then rebroadcast it for those of you who could not attend, obviously. But, and just a minor note, over the weekend there will be in Riverside, not many of us will be able to attend, there will be a lecture series, an oral history program on the Tuskegee Airmen. And if you've ever been to the Veterans Day parades out here, we've always had a good showing of Tuskegee Airmen. There have been a number of them here in the Valley that belong to the LA chapter. We lost one.
Dr. Duffy.
Dr. Duffy passed away this week. A fine gentleman, a true American hero. Very humble, very quiet, but had an incredible history, and he gave anyone who had the time to listen to him a greater understanding of what occurred to him, to people of his race and ethnicity during World War II. But he had always demonstrated great patriotic commitment to this country, and was always a great help to us in allowing us to use him as an agent to bring in more and more Tuskegee Airmen. I think one year we had 9 members here. It was a great showing. But there will be this lecture series scheduled at March Air Force Base, 11 o'clock on Saturday. That will cause a lot of conflict for people. If you're interested, we may have some information in our offices, but it is an exciting part of our history. And with that, I have no further announcements or interagency reports. Any more from the council? Very good. Seeing none, let's turn to our legislative calendar. Item 10 is the first item before us. It is the Energy Fuel USA, Inc. compressed natural gas fueling station. And this is at the airport. I'll turn to Mr. Reddy for his staff report.
Mr. Mayor, the request is that this item be withdrawn. We were not able to get the adequate answers from the vendor at this time, and we will bring it back in short order.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Oden.
I move that we continue the matter to the February 19th.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Oden and second by Mr. Mills to move this to the 19th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It is 5-0 and deemed unanimous. Item 11 is a variance. It is variance number 6.465 at 3863 East Calle, San Antonio. It is an appeal, and I'll turn to Mr. Reddy for his staff report, please.
Thank you. Mayor, members of council, last meeting at your direction, we went back and tried to refashion a solution to this issue, and we have brought this back before you this evening. And I would ask our acting director of the building department, Mr. Duckworth, to come before you and give you what we think is a refashioned solution. Thank you. Mr. Duckworth?
Good evening, Don.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I personally went out there and did an investigation and met with Mr. Flanagan at his site to determine the feasibility of continuing with this. And I've determined that within the building code, there are requirements for a structure to be built on the property line, provided it's made of 1R fire-resistive construction materials and extends a minimum 30 inches above the roof assembly. With some further investigation, I've determined there's an exception as well to that, in which the 1-hour assembly of the wall may terminate at the underside of the roof covering, provided the roof framing materials are of 1-hour fire-resistive construction and the supporting elements are of 1-hour fire-resistive construction. Right, and that the entire roof structure be considered covered with at least a Class B roof covering. So with that, that's the results of my investigation, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Don. Again, your recommendation is to give us, to give you direction.
Yes.
Thank you. Counsel?
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Hodges.
Well, it sounds like we've come up with a good solution, not we, but you have, all of you and staff have come up with a good solution. And I would say go ahead and put whatever necessary paperwork is together to allow this to happen.
We have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Roden.
Did they, I thought that the last time that they were going to prepare okay, I see a hand, so I'll defer to it.
Got a hand?
Yes.
Is the hand attached to Mr. Evans?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Evans.
Yeah, the council direction was in regards to the variance application, which was brought up to the council on appeal by Mr. Flanagan for their denial of a 3-foot variance request in this case. Mr. Duckworth came up with a solution. At the last meeting, it was our understanding the council asked us to investigate whether or not we could do a no-build easement on the adjoining property. And I think through Mr. Duckworth's knowledge of the building code and looking at the situation, he found we did not have to do a no-build easement on the adjoining property. We would just have to construct it in the fashion that he mentioned, and if it's the council's pleasure, all you need to do is direct us to prepare the resolution overruling the Planning Commission, approving the variance request, and we'll bring that back on a consent calendar basis for your next meeting.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Roden.
I'd like to make a motion overruling the decision of the Planning Commission and that will deal with the approval of the variance.
Motion by Mr. Oden and second by Ms. Hodges.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
Duckworth, the 17 other properties that are in the neighborhood that you had referred to before, that with the same kind of condition?
The same conditions would apply, yes.
So you're going to go back and do that with?
On a case-by-case as they come forth. First, they go through planning to request a variance.
Another thing I'd like to clarify is I think we're going to bring back the actual resolution. So I think the action, instead of actually taking the action tonight, it's to authorize us to bring back that resolution.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, I thought that's what I heard. So.
Yes. Okay.
It would have to be because there's no resolution here to support, so it's giving direction to prepare said such resolution. Correct? Mr. Mills.
Mr. Mayor, I mentioned before, I've sat on the Planning Commission for 10 years, and every time we've seen one of these, I voted against it. and I voted against it because of the problem, the door that we're going to open here.
Yep.
If we do this. The reason I thought this particular one worked before was because of the 3-foot easement. To me, that took away or resolved some issues and took, at least I felt, was a means that not every piece of property, every condition that has something like this is going to be able to have. I have a difficulty in what we've told people for years and years and years, and including this body, that, I mean, it has always, hasn't always been, but it has been an unfortunate circumstance in a lot of cases, as this case is a very unfortunate circumstance, and certainly not of Mr. and Mrs. Flanagan's doing, which we've all been able to find out, which Mr. Evans and the building department have been able to determine. However, I felt that 3-foot easement gave me the comfort that this was a little different than most cases. So without that 3-foot easement, I will not be supporting this as much as I may want to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. I still have problems accepting the determinants that this is eligible for variance. I am not comfortable in allowing that which does not conform with the zoning ordinances and many of our building codes under current. That which is basically illegal construction can somehow be approved if you just remedy it. Although it does exist and prevail in the neighborhood, it does not give me enough comfort to say that, well, we're going to make it all right. Because what you're allowing then is the precedent for all practical purposes. The person who has abided by the rules for all this time now turns and says, well, wait a minute. I mean, can I now just do this even though it's not by code? Can I just start breaking the law and modifying it? I mean, you don't have the conditions that set forth this kind of construction in this zone. And basically, I think it fractures and damages the validity of our codes, and I'd rather maintain the integrity. This is by no means focused on any one applicant. We have gone through a number of these, and it's always been very difficult, if not impossible, to grant variances to people. I needn't say there was a particular house in the Deepwell area that went through the rigors of this review, and it was excessive. And I feel like there has to be some kind of a balance. This just doesn't, in my estimation, doesn't meet the requirements of a variance, and I would not suggest that we allow this kind of development, this kind of construction to occur in our setbacks in any neighborhood.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Hodges.
Mr. Duckworth, it's my understanding that you're saying that this does meet the qualifications for a variance. Is that correct?
No, under the current situation, no, it does not comply. There would be substantial structural additions would have to be put onto the ceiling and the wall assemblies, along with possibility of an analysis done of the foundation and existing to the imposed weights.
And if the Flanagans decide to do this, then it would qualify for a variance, if they go through the upgrades that are necessary.
Well, if they go through the upgrades that are necessary, they would comply with the building code. The ordinance, that's your decision, as far as the setbacks go.
There's a distinction between, the last meeting, there were some safety issues that were raised. And what the building official is indicating is that those safety issues with the design analysis that he's recommending, he thinks that some of those structural issues in meeting the code and the health safety issues are met. That's not the same thing as meeting the findings of the variance.
So how can we approve a variance?
At the end of the day, that is a determination made by the city council as to whether the findings are made. The findings have to do with the issues of whether there are unique features concerning the property, whether there's a substantial hardship, whether you're treating this property the same as other properties or not.
I have to tell you, these things come to us. We're not the experts here, okay? I expect staff to bring this information to us that qualifies it for a variance or not. I don't know if it does or it doesn't. I would like for it to. The structure's been there for 30 years. somehow for 30 years it's been able to maintain itself with having no problem whatsoever. And it's only because he did additional work to his property that all of a sudden now it's not in compliance. I don't know. I don't understand how we as a council can make a decision, this one is okay and qualifies for a variance, when 2 months ago, that one didn't because we couldn't come up with qualifications that made it qualify. That's not, I don't know how to make that qualify. That's your job. And you need to tell us if it qualifies, fine. If it doesn't, then that's fine too. But that's not for me to,
Well,
I don't know
if
what
it-
to say. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, if it were totally an issue that staff could determine, then these things would never come to council. At the end of the day, making these decisions, staff can tell you what the findings are and what sort of information.
But
What-
we're not telling us what the findings are.
I just told you what the findings are. Then you have to determine whether you think you can make those findings. One of the issues last time was that the staff was saying that there are safety issues and nonconformance with code. So the staff's been trying to figure out a solution to that. And they're thinking with this analysis and some structural changes that the code issues can be met. The variance findings have to do with, is there a special circumstance concerning this property that means that it could be treated differently in terms of setbacks and so forth than other properties in the zone? And is it a hardship on the owner? And those kinds of things go into making the finding of a variance.
Does it qualify for a variance that it's a structure that's been there for 30 years and hasn't been a problem?
And no, that's not part of the findings. It's obviously something that city councils are swayed by.
If I may.
Ms. Rella Spurgeon, please.
I think part of staff's difficulty in this situation was that at the last council meeting, when we gave direction to the staff, the majority of the council said, go back and see if there's a way that you can find to make this work.
That's correct.
And the indication of that is you're out there trying to see if you can make it work.
That's correct.
That doesn't mean that you would do it if you were sitting here.
That's also correct.
Okay.
I would not.
Is it a special circumstance? Well, maybe the special circumstance is that we all know them. We all know the Flanagans. Is it a hardship? Certainly it's a financial hardship, but I'm sure it was for Mr. Dale as well when he had to tear down his cabana a year ago. I mean, I sat in this seat and had to vote to say to do that because the codes, the ordinances said that that's what was supposed to happen. And safety-wise, obviously, we're concerned. But when I asked the question, what happens to the other 17 in the neighborhood, I know that there are hundreds of other people out in this city that have done things that are the same way. And what we're just saying is, why bother coming here and asking for a permit? Because it doesn't matter, they'll find a way to skirt around it. And that's not the way it should be.
Well, one of the issues is whether you can change the zoning standard so that these properties comply, that they're not all out of compliance. That would be changing the law so that everybody is in the same circumstance, and that's something you can look at. But that has to do with making a change in the standards so you don't end up having to look at everything on a case-by-case, and the people then applying the rules have a different set of rules. Under the rules that exist right now, there's this issue. Now, Councilman Mills at the last meeting suggested a method that created a different circumstance for this lot, which was the
Go into
easement.
the sun.
And the no-build easement. So that was a somewhat different circumstance that could be factored into this. Now, when staff went back and worked on it, I think staff basically felt the direction was somehow to make it work, and that if the building code issue was solved, then there would be sufficient votes on the council to pass it. It's still, the legal issue on the variance is still out there.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Oden.
First of all, on the issue of the cabana, it's a It's a separate, you can't compare that to this issue. And certainly there have been people who have come before us over the years with lots of issues that we have denied, unquestionably. However, there comes a point when we, I believe, as council members, have to assume some responsibility that we cannot continue to tax, fine people when they come to the city to expand their homes or to do modifications, and then penalize them for work that was done in their homes 30 years ago. At some point, we have to stop that, because what we're doing is penalizing our own citizens and is creating a negative and hostile environment. So I believe we have to figure out some way to address it. Things are going to have to change at some point, which means then the work that staff has done traditionally, it's going to be done differently. I think look, we have all these homes that are out of compliance, and we know it. So until this person comes to the city to apply for a permit to do something, we don't say anything. We'll even let them do all the new work. And then when it's over, then we say, oh, by the way, we can't do business like that. That's the thing that deters people from doing things the right way. So we have to change the environment. I don't believe that's on them. I believe that's on us.
Other council comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mills.
I think Mr. Oden's comments, I think, were something we alluded to last time, in that, there is a very definite problem here that, it's real easy to stick your head in the sand, and I know the planning and building department would like our head to stay in the sand on this issue. But it probably, as we discussed last time, needs to be dealt with some way, shape, or form. And it will not be an easy problem, nor will the solution be easy. But going back to this issue, and I agree with Mr. Oden, you cannot compare this to Mr. Dale's problem, in that Mr. Dale did do work without a permit. It was never proven that did exist prior to at least a major length of time. It didn't show up on the old photo that Mr. Evans has, and the circumstances were definitely not the same. I personally feel that the elements for a variance are intentionally vague, and the questions are, and they're left up to an elected body to make the determination. And I don't think, I certainly understand why staff makes recommendations. They originally, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Evans, your original staff report was for approval of the variance?
Well, there were 3 variance issues on the property. The Planning Commission
That's correct.
recommended or approved 2 of the 3. The only one they did not approve is the 3-foot setback. And if I could just elaborate, the findings the commission made in approving the first 2 of the variances were that the lot's substandard in size and area, and in those particular variance issues, the structures were not right on a property line. They were within the bounds of what the commission's done in the past before. If the council would find pretty much the same types of findings, that they're unique special circumstances, give us the direction. That's the type of findings we put together in the resolution. If it's your pleasure to move forward with granting the variance for a 0 lot line, and that's a different issue than how do you build it. The first thing you have to do is determine if you're going to grant the variance. Don has found a very creative way to not have a very ugly 3-foot parapet on the property line. So at least aesthetically it would be better looking than what would traditionally be the response with a 3-foot or a 30-inch parapet. So aesthetically, he found a better solution. It still meets the fire code and the building code requirements under that exception.
And I feel that the 4 requirements of the variance, although I may not agree with this specifically how the applicant has outlined them, I do think in this case they do exist, so that we are met them. Only, to me, in my mind, if that 3-foot easement is in place. If that's not there, as I mentioned before, I can't support it, so.
Okay, other comments or questions? There's a motion on the floor, Mr. Roden, and a second by Ms. Hodges. No further comments. I'll ask for a roll call.
Ms. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Mills?
No.
Mr. Oden?
Aye.
Ms. Wells Spurgeon?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
No. Motion fails 2 to 3. Is there
Mr.
an
Mayor.
alternate motion? Mr. Mills.
I would move the motion again to overturn planning commission based on the creation of a 3-foot easement along that, I believe, the east property line. That was a no-build easement, as discussed previously, and that the structure be treated as a property line condition and brought up to code to make it acceptable as a property line building, construction.
No. Just move the property line over, right?
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Second by Ms. Wells Spurgeon. Questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hodges.
what happens if their son sells the property and the new owner doesn't want to go along with the 3 feet?
Well, by creating the easement, the new owner is subject to the easement. Once it's recorded, it runs with the land.
It's in the title report.
Right, and so the new owner, when they buy, will have an easement, and it basically will prevent them from building within that 3-foot area. They could still have landscaping, grass, and so forth, but they wouldn't be able to build any structures.
In theory, the neighbor should not build within 10 feet under current setbacks. That's where I draw the question. I mean, in current codes, he's not allowed to build within 10 feet of the property. That's a setback. To put a 3-foot imaginary line saying you can't build within this, then you're basically saying, I guess I can build within the other 7 feet. And I'm not sure what that signals.
No, the difference is that the right to prevent the building within the 10 feet is a part of the zoning ordinance. It's a part of the laws of the city. It's not a private property right. The no-build easement becomes a private property right, which can be enforced by the adjacent property owner. That's why it's created through an easement.
Explain to me the zoning mechanism that by law, prior to construction, the neighboring property would be able to build within the 10 feet.
Well, maybe they can't now, but if the city wants to amend the zoning law to go with 2-foot setbacks, then they could build in it. That any city council can come along and change the rules.
I guess what I'm concerned about is selective enforcement, making a lot of provisions for one as opposed to changing the rules for all.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mills.
The intent of the 3 feet versus the 10 feet, as Mr. Alshire stated, that the 10 feet, no one will be able to build legally within that 10 feet anyway. They could get, I don't know, are those substandard width lots, Mr.
Depth.
Evans? So he could build
No,
into...
I want to argue that they're substandard in depth. They're 75 wide and they're 85 deep. And they're supposed to be 7,500 R1Ds. So I think they're substandard in the depth configuration at 85 versus the required requisite 100.
So it wouldn't be 10 feet anyway, it'd be 8 feet with a...
10%.
With an AMM.
10%.
So if it were 3 feet, I mean, they couldn't build closer than 8 feet anyway. My reason for the 3 feet is that in the past, we have approved this same situation when they had 3 feet. The Planning Commission approved it if they were willing to move the wall back 3 feet. So that's why the 3 feet, because we have done that in the past. And we have essentially moved this gentleman's property line 3 feet west, although we didn't move the property line, we just did it with an easement. Hence the 3 feet.
Okay. So we have a motion by Mr. Mills and a second by Ms. Rella Spurgeon. Any further questions or clarification required? Mr. Oden.
Would you repeat just that last portion on the easement for me? I need to make sure I understand it.
It takes years of experience to understand this.
I understand that. That's why you have to repeat it for me.
Essentially, in the past, we have, city council included when this situation has arisen, we have allowed people to build within 3 feet of a property line, not build, but to adjust their structures to maintain 3 feet of access, 3 feet setback essentially. That's happened several times. And that's what the Planning Commission approved, essentially what they have approved in the past, at 3 feet. Unfortunately, it means Mr. Flanagan has to tear down his wall and move it back 3 feet, hence his appeal. So in this case, we are essentially establishing what the Planning Commission approved. It's just as an easement and not a property line. But because it is a property line, he still has to meet the requirements that Mr. Duckworth outlined.
Okay. Thank you very much. And that may address a portion of this. The fact is that there's no way of getting around it that the same way as we have this unique situation for these three, we have all manner of unique situations throughout this city. And for us to think that we can do cookie cutter with all of these homes that have been established here for as long as they have, we're not going to be able to do that without going to the community and telling people, you have to tear down so much property. And we're going to have a problem with that. So, if that's what we're saying that we're going to have to do, then I think we need to contact these 17 people, but not just these 17. I think all the others that we know about in Las Palmas and in all the other areas of this city, and start telling people what they have to tear down instead of waiting until that time when they come to do stuff. Now, the issue is still going to be there.
You know, you look at me like I made these rules. I didn't. These have been in existence for a long time.
Jeannie,
these are the
I'm
rules
looking
of
at
right.
Dana.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
You look at Dana, that's good.
I put them in effect.
Thank you.
I take full responsibility for it.
That's good.
All right,
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mills.
I certainly understand what Mr. Oden's saying. I think I don't know if there's a practical means to this or not, and I don't think citing everyone is really a practical way to do it, but I do agree we need to spend some time on this issue, and henceforth that maybe perhaps we could suggest a study session related to this issue at a not too recent, not too close time, because I know we are booked for study sessions. So I don't see it as an extremely important issue, but I do see it as an important issue that we need to deal with. So.
Call for a question.
So I'm going to turn to Mr. Alshire and ask a question about precedent. If in fact the action before the council under this motion is taken and adopted, what precedent does this set for the other remaining properties that Mr. Oden refers to? Does it mean if they can somehow meet these same conditions that they're all right? Unless they go to variance.
Obviously, the proper situation is that if you found another property in the same circumstance, you would treat the property the same way. Now, if, as approved, it includes the easement on the adjacent property, then it means if in the future you had an adjacent property owner and they provided that easement, then that would be the same circumstance, and presumably you would approve the variance. There is a larger issue here, which is this problem of changes in circumstances over a period of time and trying to treat properties in the same manner. And whether it's these 17 or it's a citywide issue, that probably needs to be looked at. This will be a precedence for all properties in the same condition, And the question is, what is the same condition? Does that mean with the easement? Exactly what size and shape of lot are we talking about? It should be considered, if you approve it, subject to whatever those conditions are that you approve it, then presumably if someone else was in the same circumstance and could comply with those same conditions, you would also approve a variance for them. The theory is that if it ends up being that there are 1,000 variances, then that in the same circumstances, that's not really a variance issue. The variance is there's something unique and special about the property, why there should be an unusual or special application of the zoning ordinance. If there are a whole bunch of properties in that category, you're supposed to solve those problems not through variances but through zoning amendments.
And what I don't still know is what the special circumstances of this property is. Because as mentioned several times during this discussion, they're everywhere. So it's not special, it's more prevalent. So
I doubt there's anything I will say which will resolve the difference of opinion on that point.
I am certain of it. All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Mills and a second by Ms. Reller Spurgeon. Any further comments? Seeing none, I will ask for a roll from Madam Clerk.
Ms. Hodges?
No.
Mr. Mills?
Aye.
Mr. Oden?
No.
Ms. Reller Spurgeon?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
No. 1-4. That motion dies. I'll place a motion before the council to uphold the planning commission's decision. I seek a second. Do I hear a second?
I'll second you.
Second by Ms. Reller Spurgeon.
And that's to prepare a resolution upholding the...
Yes, sir, please. Any further discussion, comments? If not, roll call, please.
Ms. Hodges?
No.
Mr. Mills?
No.
Mr. Oden?
No.
Ms. Reller Spurgeon?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Aye. 2-3. So we're not going to try to uphold. It's the council's pleasure. Just a series of options. Keep constructing them.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Oden.
I'm not sure if we can resolve this at this time with the disparity in terms of position, perhaps. Perhaps we will, if the council will agree, we'll do a subcommittee with building and planning and see if we can bring back something that might work, might be acceptable.
A subcommittee.
Well, I don't think you need a nurse on it.
I am by no means opposed to the tool, the mechanism of subcommittee. I would look at it as a more broader application than perhaps this specific application. If it is the pleasure of two members to obviously work together to find solution, they can of course do that, but
Okay,
I'm
that's
a little
just as
reluctant
good.
to use the tool of a subcommittee officially designated, to go forth and take on this undertaking.
And I think that perhaps because of this unique circumstances, that it would be appropriate. However, if two could just get together and work it out, that would be fine too.
So is it the motion then to continue this for 2 weeks?
Yes.
And that would take us to the 5th to the 19th. And during that time, whatever can occur, can occur.
Who's on the subcommittee?
I don't think there is per se a subcommittee. It's maybe a couple of members are trying to work this out. Got a motion by Mr. Oden to continue this. I will second that. Is there anyone wishing to make comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor to continue this item to the 19th, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, it's continued to the 19th. Item 12, first amendments to the merged project area 1 and 2. Council members, if you have abstentions on merged areas, at this time I'll ask you to note them for the clerk's record, and then we'll await your departure from the chamber before we begin our proceedings.
Mr. Mayor, I have property in one of the redevelopment areas. I will be abstaining.
Mr. Mayor, I have a property in the other one, and I will be abstaining.
Mr. Mills, that was property area 9D? 9I.
Okay. The record show that Mr. Mills and Ms. Rella Spurgeon are leaving the chamber based on their abstentions. The remaining members of council do form quorum and will proceed now on item 12, the First Amendments to merge property areas 1 and 2. Mr. Reddy, your staff report, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is an omnibus measure in essence. There are three things that we will be asking for you in this resolution, and I would ask Mr. Raymond to give you the details in the report, the staff report. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Raymond. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Mr. Mayor. I'm bringing you something light and easy after the last one.
Need a subcommittee to check that out.
We're making, staff is making 4 recommendations, and I'm just going to cover the recommendations, and then if you have any questions, you can ask the questions. But the first is that the council adopt the written responses to the correspondence that we received prior to the last meeting on January 15th. And those were related to merge project area number 1. The second is that the council approved the negative deck for the both the plans for merged area number 1 and merged area number 2. And third, that the council introduce and do the first reading of the ordinance adopting the First Amendment to the merge redevelopment plan for merged area number 1. And the fourth is that the council introduce and do the first reading of the ordinance for the First Amendment to merged redevelopment plan for number 2. Just to note, the plan amendment for merged area number 2 amends and restates the plan for all 3 of the constituent areas, which were Tahquitz, Andreas, Baristo, Farrell, and Canyon. But the extension of the eminent domain authority at this time does not cover Tahquitz, Andreas, and that will be accomplished in the future. So there, at this time, would be no agency eminent domain authority for the Tahquitz, Andreas project area subsequent to the approval of these. So that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, unless they're real hard ones like Mr. Oden asked before. Then I'll have to have Mr. Alshire answer.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Members of the council, questions, comments? I've got a couple of questions, but Mr. Oden? No? John, just if you'll refer to page 12, A66, which is dealing with property acquisition and the eminent domain tool. Under paragraph E, except as otherwise provided by law, no eminent domain proceedings to acquire within the project shall commence after 12 years. This will again sunset in 12 years?
That is correct.
It's a state law that the sunsets are on 12-year interviews, Mr. Alshire?
Yes, and there has to be a deadline in the plan, and there's a maximum period that you can go for, and then you extend it by amending the plan.
Are there any limits as to the number of times you can extend this, the eminent domain, the condemnation?
Well, not currently, but this is an area that the legislature constantly finds interest in.
I don't know if the city, the organization known as the city, those individuals that work for us here, have a master calendar that could somehow signal well in advance that this is going to sunset within some prescribed period of time so that you can begin the proceedings. I have no intention of being here in 12 years, at least at this table. I hope to be here, but not here. But I just wish that maybe an alarm goes off, the proceedings get done, and there's a smooth, if not seamless, transition between the two. Additionally, on page A1269, paragraph 510, cooperation with public bodies, third paragraph down speaks of the agency as authorized to the extent permissible under law to finance and otherwise assist public bodies in the cost of public lands, buildings, facilities, structures, and otherwise. This is other public bodies as in governmental entities? School districts, hospitals, DWA, any public body?
Includes the city, too. Includes the city,
but does not exclude the ones I listed. Could
does
be any
not
of those
exclude,
agencies.
right.
So we could use, under this provision, redevelopment funds to assist in schools. Use it for the purposes of assisting the hospital district, the cemetery district.
Absolutely, and that is a provision, current provision of state law. This language is just reciting what is already in state law.
I appreciate that. Just need the clarification, and I do appreciate that. And then I marked something here. Oh, yes, page 12A75. Paragraph 4, parenthetically 525, graffiti removal. It speaks of the agency required findings may take actions to determine necessary to remove graffiti. We traditionally now fund graffiti removal from what source? I turn to Tom Canar for that. Is it redevelopment monies now? General fund.
General fund, Mayor.
Does this provision exist so that redevelopment monies could be used for graffiti removal for the purposes of analyzing the budget in the upcoming session?
Yes, it's there. One of the factors of blight and a blighting condition is having graffiti. So there's a specific provision in the Health and Safety Code that allows the use of redevelopment money for graffiti removal.
Okay. All right, that's it. That's all I've spotted there. It again occurs in all of the respective areas, but I just spotted that, thought that was interesting, because I recall the graffiti program being under a general fund demand, not under a redevelopment. I want the council to see that. All right, no other questions from me. Council, before you have 2 resolutions and 2 ordinances for their introduction and first reading. If you make a motion on the latter, please waive text and ask for the reading of the title for the purposes of expediting the actions to the clerk. Council's pleasure.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Oden.
I will move the resolutions and the ordinances and waive the reading of the ordinances with just the title.
Very good, thank you.
Second.
And a second by Ms. Hodges. Thank you, Ms. Hodges. Any other comments or questions? Very good, seeing none. I'll ask the clerk to read title, waiving text for introduction, and then take roll.
This will be an ordinance of the City of Palm Springs, California, amending the merged redevelopment plan for merged redevelopment project number 1, and an ordinance of the City of Palm Springs, California, amending merged redevelopment plan for the merged redevelopment project number 2.
Very good, thank you. I'll ask for the roll call, please.
Ms. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Mills, absent. Mr. Oden?
Aye.
Mr. Spurgeon, absent. Mr. Mayor?
Aye. Vote reads 3-0-2. Have the clerk's concurrence on that? In the absence are Mr. Mills and Ms. Rella Spurgeon. I'll ask again that we bring the members back into the chamber, and we'll proceed then to item 13, which is the Convention Center expansion, the Phase 2 environmental. And if we'll just wait for the members of the council to be seated, we'll then have your staff's report, Mr. Reddy. Members of the council, we're on item 13 at this time.
Mr. Mayor,
Rella Spurgeon.
on item 9, the tennis issue, the tennis
Yes.
club, I am now working back at Windsor Court after a hiatus of about 1.5 years. As you know, I sat on a subcommittee with the tennis club and kind of shepherded this through, and I was told tonight that I need to abstain on this issue since I started back to work at Windsor Court. So I need to bring that up and abstain.
I'll turn to City Attorney for direction on how to rectify and remedy items 9's vote, so we can amend that with Ms. Rella's abstention. Ms. Rella Spurgeon's, I'm sorry, Ms. Rella Spurgeon's abstention.
In bringing the matter back up, if the council wished, somebody on the prevailing side wished to make a motion to reconsider the prior action, and then there was after that, there was a second motion to approve it, and Councilmember Spurgeon did not participate in that, then that would correct the record.
My record shows a 5-0 unanimous vote on that. The motion was made by Ms. Hodges and second by Mr. Oden. If there's a motion to reconsider?
So moved.
Thank you by Mr. Oden and second by Ms. Hodges. Motion to reconsider.
I'll abstain and leave the room.
All those in favor of the motion to reconsider, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any absent? Jeannie, say absent? Doesn't work that way. 4-0-1 with Ms. Rella Spurgeon absent and abstaining on that motion to reconsider. With now the slate drawn clean, is that a correct assumption? Council, what is again before you is item 9. I would ask for a motion at this time.
Move the resolution.
I'll second.
We have a motion for approval by Ms. Hodges, and again, a second by Mr. Oden. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, ask for a roll call.
Ms. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Mills?
Aye.
Mr. Oden?
Aye.
Ms. Reynolds Bertrand, absent. Mr. Mayor?
Aye. It is deemed 4-0-1, noting Ms. Rella's abstention and absence from the chamber during the proceedings. Thank you, Ms. Reynolds-Bertrand, for your quick response to come back in. Let's now turn to item 13, the Convention Center expansion. This is Phase 2, the environmentals. I'll turn to you, Mr. Reddy, for your staff's report, please.
Thank you, members of council. What's before you is a request to approve, this is for Terra Nova Planning and Research for the initial study for the prep for the mitigated negative deck. This is for the convention center, the environmental assessment. And I would ask Mr. Evans to give the report. Harold Good, the procurement officer, will be here for some technical details on the procurement side, but Mr. Evans needs to comment on the environmental side. And with that, Mr. Evans will lead off. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is an item that the council had asked us to go out and do a focused bidding process. We did. We received 3 proposals. A group evaluated the proposals, found that this was the best proposal. We then negotiated the contract with Terra Nova. As part of this, they'll do a traffic study, an air quality analysis, and noise impact analysis. That's a substantial portion of the cost. That's almost $30,000 of the cost to do those items. The previous proposal that was before you, just as background, was for a proposal for the convention center to eliminate Amato Road. It was a much more complex project, so we actually rebid a different project based upon council direction. We recommend approval of this. Terra Nova Planning and Research just recently completed the Canyon Agua Caliente Band of Cuyav Indians Development Authority's golf course. They worked extremely fast in a very tough project. They weren't working for us, they were working for the Development Authority. We believe they're the right firm to do this project at this time. We recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Council, questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mills.
just that normally when we approve an agreement, don't we see it?
It would be approved in a form acceptable to the city attorney, Mr. Mills.
Okay. I'll make a motion for approval. Move the minute order, sorry.
Second.
Motion approval by Mr. Mills and a second by Ms. Hodges. And I guess the question and comment I have is that traditionally the contracts are here for us to look at. Now that Mr. Mills is part of the council, he has done an excellent job of scrutinizing and fine-tuning those. And although I am comfortable with, obviously, the staff's performance in prior years, I have a greater level of confidence knowing that I've got the keen eye of Mr. Mills to go through this sort of construction documentation. So I just want to register my concern that these kinds of things do require us to look at them, and since we have this tool, this asset, I prefer that these things be brought forward in a more timely fashion so we can scrutinize them and review them.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, that is a very legitimate request, and I've noted to staff that contracts will be in your packet prior to this meeting. This is one of those, however, on the convention center that is the moving target. That it comes to us very late, and actually today is when we were able to get you, actually just hours before the meeting, the actual number on what the cost was, and that's why we don't actually have the contract prepared. But again, this is a special circumstance on the convention center. Most other things you will have your contracts. We hear that message, and I will do everything in my power to make sure you have the contracts before you.
We had taken action on this very same project prior with the architects, whereby we approved the architect and then say, go forth and bring us a contract. Could not that same kind of step be offered to the council at this time, that they are the people we're going to use? We do agree upon the price, now bring us the contract for review, and that same sort of precedent allowed to be used here? And I defer really to legal to see if in fact that implication is applicable or not.
Certainly. If that is the council's wish, the issue of the design and the schedule is something I'm not privy to, so Al or the city manager would.
Maybe we'll turn to Mr. Evans, who's got a finger up in the back with a thought.
Well, we certainly could bring back the contract for your ratification. We do need to move extremely fast on this. If you approve the contract tonight, we have a meeting tomorrow morning first thing to start working on the environmental documents. And we're at the point that if we don't start immediately, just as with the architect. So if you'd like to, we could bring it back. We do have the contract in the room, but obviously we didn't make copies. We just finished the staff report this morning.
Understood.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mills.
I would certainly be willing, if the council would like, that if the motions for review by the city attorney, I would be more than happy to review along with the city attorney to expedite it, and if that's okay, then.
Sure, that's fine.
I'd have a greater level of comfort knowing that's occurring. Okay? Will the motion need to reflect that? Mr. Mills will be joining the city attorney. Okay with that? The maker and the second are okay with that?
Yes. I made the second.
No, I believe that Ms. Hodges made the second. All right? And I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Ms. Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Mills?
Aye.
Mr. Oden?
Aye.
Ms. Rose Spurgeon?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Aye, 5-0 deemed unanimous. Item 14 is board and commission appointments, and we have discussion and directions. I'm going to hand these out, if I may. These are copies of emails that the chairmen of both the Human Rights Commission and the Parks and Recreation Commission joined Mr. Mills and I in our interview process. I know we're all going to look at it differently, make phone calls, and meet with the applicants. We went through the list that was provided us. I asked some questions of the city clerk to, if you will, sanitize it. Some of the members that had applied did in fact withdraw. Certain members, a member did in fact apply that was not a resident, so that the list was culled down to a fewer numbers. Again, Mr. Mills and I did join the chairman of the commissions respectively, and went through the interview process and interviewed each and every one of them. We went through it, and we've got some recommendations, but I don't know how the council wants to proceed. What you see before you, the copy of the email, is reflective of what both Mr. Mills and I concur with. There were excellent applicants this year. I will assure you what we saw were some pretty incredible people. One gentleman who was truly a bright, articulate young man. We tried to figure out where to put this person because he had so many assets that he could offer the city of Palm Springs. He did not get the nomination, by the way, for this committee because we thought he might have greater resources in another one. So it is with that if the nomination's open, I'd like to recommend for Human Rights Richard Caderet, and for Parks and Recreation Helen LeClaire, based on the interviews that Mr. Mills and the chairman and I went through.
I would second those.
And of course, the nomination's open. You can add other nominations.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to open on Human Rights, Sharon Locke.
Motion to add Sharon Locke. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second. So we have then on the Human Rights, motion to add Richard Caderet and Sharon Locke. Any others for Human Rights or for Parks and Rec? Very good. Then I'll entertain a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Oden. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Hodges. And now, there's only one on Parks and Rec. Is it the consent of the council then to make a motion to accept Helene LeClaire?
Yes.
That'd be fine.
Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Oden and a second by Mr. Mills. All those in favor for Helene LeClaire, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is 5-0. On the issue of the Human Rights Commission, there are two members before you. There is Richard Caderet and Sharon Locke. And what's the council's pleasure?
Can we make a comment
Yes, by all means.
at this point? I second the motion on Sharon because I think if someone wants a person on, that they should have that opportunity. But I won't be voting to approve Sharon. And the reason is that I just think, based upon what I know about Sharon, that this is not the best use, this particular commission, I think, of her skill set. I think in a different area that's perhaps more technical, I think we would be better served. So it's just my reasoning.
Were there any members of the Human Rights Commission during your interview process that deserved recommendation or consideration?
I'm going with the recommendation of,
The nomination for Mr. Caderet?
yes.
that a motion?
I didn't nominate anyone else, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Your motion to then move Richard Carteret?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Roden. Is there a second? Second again by Mr. Mills. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No. And it's 4-1. So for human rights, for the purposes of the clerk, human rights, it is Richard Carteret, and for the Parks and Recreation, it is Helene LeClaire. Both of these are short terms. In the case of the Parks and Recreation, their term will lapse in June of this year. In the case of human rights, the term will lapse in June of next year. Under the item B on this item here, we have the issue of the rent review. I believe no one applied. We have no applications under the appeals review, and under Village Fest, there were no jewelers that applied, although Jackie has said, at least verbally, that she would consider, if it is the council's pleasure, to once again serve. It's up to the council to make that recommendation.
I think she needs to fill out an application, though.
I can have her do that, by all means. Clerk, would you contact Jackie?
Did we ever get a response from the commission about whether or not, I think we need that. I'm not sure if we were clear in our direction, and I think we should ask them to review it and whether or not they want to continue this category, or do they see a way that the community can be better served?
I concur with that. I will ask, though, when the question is posed to the commission, that they do not make the decision based on current composition. In other words, there could be someone who fills another category that has some expertise in jewelry, so right now we don't need them, but if that person leaves and someone who is, if you will, by silo, only one specific discipline and has no jewelry background, then you don't have somebody. So do they feel as though there's someone should be on there? So let's find out from the commission before we take action. But again, applications are open for the remaining vacancies, Madam Clerk?
Yes, and actually, you were also going to discuss this process that you did this time to see if this is working for you and if you want to continue using this process where you all get the applications and do your own interviews or calls or whatever. I will tell you that in our office, Thelma Burnell created this nice poster, and that's been posted at the Senior Center, the Stroke Activity Center, at the post office, at the library. Doug Evans has gratefully going to take about 20 to 30 copies of these to Main Street tomorrow and ask the business folks to put them up in their windows. So we're doing a very concerted effort to try to get the word out. There's going to be one of those informational things running on Channel 17. We're making the applications for the first time available by email, so people can log on to the city's website, fill out the email, submit it, or fill out the, application, and submit it. It comes directly to our office. If we have questions, we'll call them to get them filled out. So we're working very hard, to get applications in. The process that you did this time, for these vacancies, was that each of you got the applications. You handled the applications, and then tonight you came forward with your recommendations. So what I'm looking for, in your package, you have a resolution that is your current one that is standing. I need to amend that resolution if you want to change the process. You had, before, the mayor appointed council subcommittees, so forth and so on. So if you like this process, I can modify this resolution to bring back to you, or do you want to think about it some more? Or I'm kind of awaiting your desires.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Roden.
It's new, and it's perhaps too new for me to say definitively. I can't say I'm comfortable with it yet, but I'm willing to work with it a little longer so that, maybe I'll find my place with this new system. But one of the things I think that is quite interesting, in all the applications, there were only 4 people who lived here 5 years or more. Mm-hmm. And so I think the criteria, which is something that we used to look at differently, because there's certain things that we would expect a person to know about the community before they serve. But the community is in so much transition, and so many people are new, and yet they want to get involved, that I think it's just kind of an interesting indication here that so few have lived here any what we would consider significant length of time.
I agree. I might suggest that the council do look at the application and see if you want to change any of the wording And I might suggest, and it's open for obviously discussion, if you do have these applications available via the internet, if in fact you can have them send their email, you're going to get it anyway when they send it back to you, to have their email address. In trying to communicate with these people, as the clerk's office well knows, trying to phone call them and get a hold of them, it's a lot of phone tag going on. If the email is there, they can send them an instant, if you will, an instant letter saying, here are the conditions, here's the schedule. It just facilitates. I know it would make it a lot easier on our end. We tried to coordinate, as you can well imagine, all the people that were applying. And it was a task to put this together, to get Mr. Mills' calendar, our calendar, and so on. And I just want to caution you, this was under 10 applicants, and it took us 2 hours to go through the interview, let alone the hours to set up and so on and so forth. We're on the brink of starting the process for the Junes. As you know, we start months in advance and go through the process. If we're going to make a process, it has to be done relatively quickly. Elsewise, if it's a case of, well, we'll just all individually interview them, again, we get a pretty good wave of people that come through. Many were withdrawn. Some were withdrawn by the original count, and some of them were no longer residents. So I just want you to be aware of it. I would suggest that we ask for the email. It would be, I think, something we can facilitate.
Mr. Mayor, I would also stress the importance of filling out the application completely. That's the only thing that we have to determine whether or not we want to see these people and to talk with them. I think some people don't take as much time with it, and if the application is filled out completely, then it really will assist us in determining, who we want to interview. Okay?
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Hodges.
I'd like to try this again. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it either, but I'm not comfortable with the way it was. So I'm willing to try it one more time in this same process, and hopefully we can kind of smooth out the bugs and see if we can make it work smoother. Certainly open to suggestions, but I'd like to continue on maybe in the same vein.
That's fine. Again, Mr. Mills and I met for the convenience of both of us and the applicants to have one person, and the chairs were invited, and they appreciated the hand to extend it to them. We might look at in the next go-around if two want to do it at a time, or if you want to actually convene a meeting, those who choose to come, those who don't choose to come, you can put three of them together. There was nothing wrong with the process in the same way. If we just noticed that meeting,
Right.
under the Brown Act provisions, we could all just sit there all at once, broadcast it, televise it, record it, and otherwise, and it's just simply an interview process. But you have to realize, for the consideration of these applicants, if it's going to 5 different ones, and then, of course, the chairman's going to either shoulder on one of us or not, it gets to be a very fragmented process.
Would you like for me then to ask the city attorney to review this resolution for any legal things on what you're doing now with this new process, make modifications, and perhaps bring that back to you on the 19th? Or do you just want to leave it like it is?
I think I'm hearing the council wants to go a little longer with this process before we settle down on revising the resolution. But I think after we've gone a little farther, ultimately we do need to correct the resolution, but I'm still not quite sure in terms of a long-term fix what we would do. So I think the best thing is just leave it for the time being.
Good. Ms. Rella Spurgeon.
I need to confess that I did not interview any of the people. I have, this is an excuse, I know. I've had a very ill mother-in-law, as you know, over the last 5 weeks, and I've been back and forth with hospitals. But I read over the applications. I attempted to call one person, and the line was busy. And then I looked at him again, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't think that was a good time. So it's just the convenience of the applicant, I think, is important. I found myself feeling very frustrated, knowing that I had to do it. If I knew there was a meeting, and I would be there, as you know, but trying to be independent, I wasn't good at that.
Well, again, we can structure it. If you choose to attend or not attend, clearly your prerogative. We just found it to be easier. Again, we had a clear calendar, and it was a challenge. We got it done yesterday. It wasn't like we did it weeks ago. We got it done yesterday based on the applicants came forward. There was some inaccuracies. They had to be sanitized. That took time. Then the phone calls, some of the phone numbers were no
I
longer
know.
relevant. We couldn't get through to people. It took days to find them. We finally got them. Then they couldn't come on the days we selected. So, I mean, that was, again, less than 10, and it took us all that time. And it's a challenge. So I want to make sure it's easy for everyone, from staff to applicant to council to chairs, the best way to do this.
It didn't feel easy to me.
I agree with you, though. It's easier when there's a structure. And
Yes.
you're just told to be at a certain
Yep.
place, and there's a list, and there's a
Yes.
schedule, and you just go through it. I
Right.
assure you,
Be here at such and such a time.
taking time to make
Yes.
a phone call or 3 phone calls or to meet people on your own it's hard. It's hard.
And to ask the person to come.
Yeah, we had
multiple
almost
times.
2.5, 3 weeks to do this.
I
Any
know,
success
I
on
know.
other councils meeting with these people? Any times, calls? It's very difficult. All right. So we're going to see if we now, we're going to get the information back from Village Fest, and we'll proceed under the current procedure. Is that what we're going to do?
Mr. Mayor?
And if we don't have a shortlisting process, though, I think the council abandoned shortlisting.
Well, you can make your own short list, though. You yourself can. If that's what, if that makes you comfortable.
Okay.
Not these procedures.
Mr. Mayor?
Not these procedures. Thank you for
Right.
that clarification. Mr. Mills?
Has there been anything given us on what the new procedure is?
Well, no, we're
You're hearing it.
determining what that is.
Even the one, well, has anybody established for us what we're trying out? What our attempt is here? So at
Well-
least so everybody knows what we're trying out.
Well, the direction I heard last time was that everyone get the applications. Then I schedule it for a meeting, and then you make your appointments based on your each individual
So it's
reviews.
completely individual, and you give the application, then it's up to each council person to do their own.
You get the
copy.
list. You get the
correct.
packet of applicants, and then you individually proceed.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
my understanding that you're operating under, and that's where I'm going forward at? Okay.
Right, and then as
You don't
Mr.
have to
Roden
send me a
said,
memo then.
each of us can shortlist our own list of applicants, so. Okay, but you've got 2 appointments for now, and one of them, again, is done in less than 6 months. It's a very short period of time, and both would be eligible for reappointment for reappointment. All right, very good. Nothing further on that, council? We'll go to item 15, which there is one added item Mr. Reddy has before us, the appointment of the SMG LMG subcommittee, with its discussion at the study session last week. 2 of us did show interest. Mr. Oden and myself showed interest in serving on that subcommittee. I think it was you, Mr. Oden, wasn't it? Well,
Yes,
let's do
that was
this.
you.
I am interested in serving on the SMG LMI subcommittee.
Yes, you said so.
Yes, okay, it was me.
All right, so then we'll appoint myself and Mr. Oden to serve on that. Do you need formal action at this? Council?
Second.
There's a motion for myself and Mr. Oden to serve on this subcommittee, a second by Ms. Relish
Are
Sturgeon.
you sure we need a
I think discussion's been cut off. Your debate is over, sir. We're going to call for the
Right.
question.
Mr. Mayor, if we could, for the record, drop the LMI, it's just SMG.
I wrote that down and thought that was appropriate, but I wanted to make, okay, good. The SMG contract, and this is to deal with the SMG both at the Convention Center contract
tourism.
and the Bureau of Tourism, so the council understands. Both bodies. Okay? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Mr. Oden will aye. We'll start with staff immediately to find out the schedule. Are there any additional starters, sir?
There are none.
Thank you. Under reports and requests, council reports and requests?
Mr.
First,
Mayor?
yes, please.
We had received a report back in September from Mr. Alshire in reference to proclamations and procedures, and we never went over that. Could I just request that that be put forth on an agenda at some point so that it was, Ron and I were a subcommittee, and Dave did the legwork for us, but we've never talked about it to handle it.
I think we talked about the proclamations, and it was determined the proclamation is the prerogative of the mayor, and there were other awards or certifications or otherwise.
We never came to any conclusion. That was the initial
Okay.
discussion, and then
Okay.
we
All right, we can bring it
got this
back.
report, so.
You want it back at the blue agenda or white agenda? Legislative calendar or study session?
I leave that up to staff. I don't care.
All right, staff, you have the decision to make on that one. Any other council reports or requests? Very good. Item 16 is the comprehensive annual financial report for the year 2001, 2002? Is that date right?
Last year's financial report as of June 30, 2002.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kennard.
We had problems in the print shop.
Thank you, sir. So there shouldn't be any questions then?
No questions.
Not on the report, but perhaps where's the report? All right. Any public reports or requests? Any staff reports or requests?
There are none, sir.
Now, for the purpose of adjournment, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be February 19th. It will be here at 7 o'clock, and it is preceded by a 5:30 closed session. We do have a joint meeting with the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians that is scheduled for February 20th. That is a Thursday. That's 6 p.m. And the location?
The location, Mr. Mayor, is going to be the Desert Museum.
Okay, it'll be in the Desert Museum. Now, I'm not clear as to where in the Desert Museum, but for now, we'll state the Desert Museum, and then we'll locate where the...
I believe it's their executive boardroom in the lower level.
All right. Okay, and we have a study session scheduled for February 13th. Again, this is a Thursday. We are closed on the, is that right, a Thursday? Yeah, we are closed on Wednesday in honor of President's Day, Abraham Lincoln's Day. So we'll meet on Thursday at 7 o'clock, and again preceded by closed session. It is now 9:27. No further business before the council. We will stand adjourned. Thank you all, and good night.